Good. So welcome to this session. We will have three technology developers presenting their different technology solutions. And they will have 10 minutes each following directly after each other. And then we will continue with 15 minutes after that with a discussion and talk about what we can learn from these different solutions, how we think that it can be used in a different context maybe, and do we see any future combination or development. So why don't you think about that while we're listening to our three speakers. And first, I would like to welcome Glenn Bilby. He is an Australian physiotherapist and health and wellness entrepreneur living in Stockholm, Sweden. And he's also the founder and CEO for the Swedish-based company Kinematic. And you will talk about movement.
Very good. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
That's good. It seems like my Google Chrome is waiting to share the screen. I presume nobody can see my screen at this stage. So I have a frosty white screen at the moment. I can see the platform in the background, but nothing in the foreground. Is there something that I should do? Tech geniuses?
Hi, Glenn. We did a tech check last week, right? Were we able to check you, Glenn? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Glenn?
World Event Center wants to share the contents of my screen, but nothing's happening.
Can you hear me, Glenn? What's going on? Why can't you hear me? Can you hear me, Glenn? Do I have any sound?
What can you see, Dean?
Oh, I don't see any. Have you clicked right through, all the way through? We checked you this week, right? So there should be just an OK when you go through that to share screen.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't even refresh my screen.
Here, I'm gonna.
Okay. Okay, so why don't we go to and welcome Andrea instead, and then we get back to Glenn when he is back again. So now Andrea, she is a Canadian entrepreneur with a passion for physical activity and to getting to more people to be more active and moving. And she is the CEO for the Canadian company Save Knowledge and will talk today about Move Improve. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I am going to share my screen, so fingers crossed. Now,
Yeah.
Let's do this. Oh, you guys can see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Are we all good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Hello, everyone. As Sophia had mentioned, I'm the CEO of Move Improve. And at Move Improve, we are on a mission to help people believe they can with confidence. Now, that's probably a pretty big vision and goal that you're thinking of. And you're probably wondering, well, how are they going to do that? Well, how? By making new skills easy. Now you're thinking, well, that's a big thing too. How are you going to do that? Well, with our patented process that's scientifically proven to shorten the distance between awkward and clumsy and automatic and confident. So today, I'm very proud to introduce you all to Move Improve. Now, I'm just going to ask the audience, have any of you ever been frustrated trying to learn a new skill? and have possibly given up. Maybe you hired a coach, bought books or manuals to teach you through the process, or watched YouTube videos of experts that you trust. Now, throughout the process, no matter what you were trying to do, you probably felt uncomfortable, aggravated, impatient, defeated, like you hit a wall or a roadblock. And in the end, you didn't feel successful, possibly gave up and walked away. Well, the reason is because there are no shortcuts to learning new skills, whether you're 6 or 96 years of age. Learning skills requires 3 steps. First, you need to think and understanding what to do, a framework of what you're learning to do. Then you need to feel it. You need to transform the what you're doing into how you're going to do it. It needs to be internalized, personalized. You need to fumble through trial and error through the process. And this is where the majority of the learning occurs. Once all the details are filled in, that's when it becomes detailed and automatic, and you just know. It becomes habit. Now, the speed of acquisition is dependent on a person's ability to go through each of these steps in order. And there's some people that learn skills really quickly, and those people annoy us, but they just happen to go through that quickly. Now, imagine if there was an app for that. Move Improve is a tool for teaching and learning skills. Our patented process is scientifically proven to produce better outcomes in learning. And again, it shortens that distance between awkward and clumsy and automatic and confident. Unlike learning tools like books or videos alone, Move Improve is interactive and engaging. It promotes self-awareness and is motivating and fun because it's gamified. Move Improve uses side-by-side video analysis, skills broken down into components using simple questions. Guided evaluation provides objective assessment both for peer-to-peer assessment, self-assessment, and consensus. And the learners provided a score after each attempt. Now, Move Improve is downloaded for free onto your mobile device, and titles are loaded to your library to use, similar to a Kindle reader or an ebook reader. That is downloaded for free, and then you choose the books that you want to read, and you purchase those at another third-party area. Now, this is how it works. First, you register an account. And we've actually created a Miro whiteboard that has additional information where you can try Move Improve, download it, use some of the different skills that we have available. So that's also there. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm shortening that up a little bit. When you log into your account, you choose a title from the library. When you open up that title, you see a list of skills, which is almost like a choose your own adventure. Which one of these skills do you want to learn, master, and assess today? Once you choose a skill, you then start the assessment process to prepare. First, you get a chance to watch master video. Master video will show you proper biomechanics, movement, expectations of the skill, and that's typically how most of us will simply learn. Watching a YouTube video, we watch a video, and then we try and replicate that or simulate that. But next, you then review the components. So a breakdown of that skill piece by piece so that you can fully understand it. So essentially, we're giving you all the information, the eyes and mind of the expert in the palm of your hand or on your mobile device. And this is the key. When you're ready, when you feel confident in your ability to attempt, that's when you shoot your video for assessment. When you go through each of the questions, you answer a simple yes, partial, or no. And this is key. It could be yes and no only, but for us, the partial is the piece. Knowing that there are 3 stages that you go through in learning, that partial piece, that negotiation, that personalization, that fumbling, that pinpointing those small errors, that's the key. But here's where you would choose yes for 3 points, 2 for partial, and no for 1, because we believe that you shouldn't get 0 points for trying. And then in the end, you review your score. And here you can pinpoint the areas of improvement. The goal is to get yes and 3 points for every component of the skill. But you can notice if there's a no or a partial, if you pinpoint on that one thing, your score will go up. And that knowing that you're just outside the realm of possibility is motivating, plus the scoring that gets you coming back time and time again. Now, based on science, and I know we've heard presentations that talk about peer-to-peer learning, but for those of you who are unaware, peer-to-peer learning is learning for everyone by everyone about almost anything. Peers are learners in a similar situation to each other, none of which are the experts or the teacher. Each peer is treated the same, no matter their ability. They teach and learn from each other, and it's important that each learner is treated the same, no matter their ability. And then the protege effect, when you're looking at self-assessment. The idea, while we teach, we learn. What we know is that students enlisted to tutor others work harder to understand the material, recall it more accurately, and apply it more effectively. Through our research, through several research studies and pilots, what we know is students improve more when they evaluate others first. So that order of learning is key. And we actually have a paper being published in the Journal of Teaching and Physical Education shortly. That peer-to-peer interaction enhances learning. When used with appropriate technology, it has greater effects. And Move Improve produces higher self-efficacy scores, a high degree of on-task behavior, more positive feedback, and improved learning of skills when compared to a skill list or video alone. A few examples of our work with organizations in the older adult and healthy active aging space is Linnaeus University, where they've created currently 2 titles, basically looking at helping older adults believe they can move without pain and with better quality of life, with daily movements, with balance. The goal being to support preventive healthcare interventions in the home. And the audience are the senior population in Sweden. So for us, we're working with several languages and making this accessible to everyone around the globe. We also are working with the Cummings School of Medicine in the I Can Walk protocol. This is a standardized national program for crutch use and mobility aids. For them, it's post-operative care, but obviously there are some applications for older individuals and those. Where the problem has been that most times when you're given or told to use crutches or mobility aid, you're just told to go to Shoppers Drug Mart or the pharmacy to get it. But there's no teaching in sizing and proper sizing, fitting, or the use of those aids. So then that results in pain, frustration, further injury. And in this case, we're also using data analytics and reporting where we're tracking use, compliance, and also how can we improve the information that's being transferred. The audience here are post-operative patients, but obviously that's meant to be across the board for all people of all ages and sizes. So for Move Improve, as a digital platform, we are a robust engine for producing content for learning mastery and a highway for distributing content to learners. But we are not subject matter experts. We partner with organizations to help them deliver their expert knowledge to their audience for better results, whatever results they're looking to accomplish in that transfer of teaching and learning. We also work in, outside of this, rehabilitation, education, sports performance and coaching, and workplace training. Each of these use cases are different, where our digital platform is being used to produce better outcomes. When we work with our partners, which are key, we start with consulting in how are we solving a problem in the transfer of knowledge to those end users and getting better, faster outcomes, better retention, better motivation, better results. We then produce those titles for availability on our platform, and then we have them available on our Move Improve store, both for public distribution and private distribution. If older adults believed they can, with confidence, just imagine what they could do. Imagine the effect on physical health, on cognitive health, mental well-being, connectedness, and social participation. Just imagine. In our partnerships with organizations around the world, this is how we are using digital technologies to enhance the health, well-being, and independence of people as they grow older. As mentioned, we created a Miro whiteboard for further information or to access and play with Move Improve yourself. You can access that after the presentation. So we welcome your feedback and your comments as you use it. So now, are there any questions, comments, or curiosities? Okay. Let's see.
Later on, Andrea. Okay, so now let's see. Can you hear us, Glenn?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay, good.
Let's hope we
So-
can get this screen up.
And
That would be
now
great.
you're sharing your screen. Perfect.
Can you see the beach in
Yes.
Australia?
Yes.
Or Kalmar, maybe. All right, thanks for your patience. I'd like to introduce Movement. It's a software suite that's been prepared by a company in Sweden called Quinomatic. We're human movement experts. We're scientists from long ago and recently, physiotherapists, service designers, and entrepreneurs. We've developed a way to make human motion capture, 3D motion capture and 2D motion capture accessible to everybody so that we can improve the way people move so that they can move more. The classic scenario at the moment that everybody's talking about, 1 in 2 people have musculoskeletal problems. A large proportion of that is osteoarthritis, particularly in aging populations, and they've been a large proportion of my patients over the last 30 years. We've got another big problem in the EU with lots of people with chronic musculoskeletal problems, and we have no diagnosis for them because we're looking inside the body at structure instead of looking at function and the way they move and how that creates pain. I don't need to tell you how many people are falling every year and what it costs the EU and the US. It's an enormous amount of money. And one of the big challenges is the primary care workers that work with movement are physiotherapists or physical therapists. And in the US alone, they need to educate 27,000 of them, which I don't think they're going to do by 2025. So it's the perfect storm for digital solutions for doing part of their job, which is assessing movement, quantifying it, and then using that for decision support. So we've gone with the Connect sensor. We've gone through 2 versions of it, the Connect 2, which was discontinued a couple of years ago, and now the Connect Azure sensor. And we've created our own proprietary skeletal tracking algorithms to take a 3D image of a person and turn them into a biomechanics model and a 3D avatar of the person, which is fantastic for communicating the way people move. During the pandemic, of course, nobody could go to any of our scanning centers because most things were closed. Some of the US clinics were still open, but in Australia and Lebanon and Europe, many of the facilities were closed. So we also developed a 2D tracking for frontal plane images, also using skeletal tracking, with the intention to then prescribe exercises for first line help so that people could know what's wrong with them and do something about it. So here's an example of a routine that we would do for bipedal stance to measure balance. We measure sway pattern of center of mass. We have nothing on the floor. It's center of mass based on anthropometrics. We do side bending for mobility and picking up objects. We do the double leg squat for sit to stand. So rather than just timed up and go, we can explain which body parts are actually slowing grandma and grandpa down. We do balance on one leg. Normally, according to the research, the first 5 seconds is the most important part of the single leg stance. So we focus on a 6 to 7 second testing period, not 30 seconds. And then we do a double leg squat, which of course is relevant for walking, going up and down stairs, going on holidays. So that's the 3D scan using the Connect sensor. And then of course, we've got the 2D scan using the mobile phone. And of course, this is frontal plane. And the whole idea is that you can very easily download the app onto your telephone, Scan yourself in the garden, scan yourself in the kitchen. You just need to be wearing tight clothing, reasonable lighting conditions, and then the person watches the movements on the screen, performs the task. We do a 2D image of the person. Oh, that doesn't look too good. And then they can see their results on their phone afterwards with trajectory pathways and measurements. And then a health professional on the other end can give them guided exercise to correct their movement dysfunctions. So that's just an overview of what it is that we've developed. I'd like to give you a little bit of a demonstration here. And some of you robotics people will enjoy this. And this is where we're, by the way, can you see a 3D image on screen here? I can't see what window is showing. I presume it's the same window. This is our movement lab for virtual analysis of a 3D movement. And we measure movement 30 times per second at multiple body parts. So we take these key positions, which are strategically chosen in order to get good, accurate results. We're 97% accurate compared to Qualisys in a 6 or 8 camera system. And we measure the standing balance. And from that, you can see the red dot, which is the center of mass projected onto the floor. And we can measure sway area, sway velocity, and sway direction, of course. And we use different types of reference tools in order to make it easier for the person observing it to see what's going on. We might do a double leg squat, for example. You can see the frontal view and you can see the helicopter view, which gives you really good insights into what the body's doing from head to toe. Whole body kinematics, you might say. From this, you can generate a biomechanics report to make life much easier for us clinicians. We don't have to be there with pen and paper and do stick figures and take out a goniometer and measure things. We do that for you. So you can get tabulated data about all the different postures, sway patterns, sway area, in this case 10 square centimeters, which was a little bit too large, single leg sway patterns, and then how different body parts contribute to things like side bending and squat and balance. So rather than just see the center of pressure on the floor, you can see how each body part contributes to a movement, and therefore you can address the underlying cause of somebody who may have pain or might be slow or might have some sort of dysfunction. And it's very easily reported with the click of a button. More importantly, the last thing I'll show you is the new app, which we've just released late last year, which can visualize the information for the patient or the client or for the personal trainer or for the occupational therapist or the physiotherapist. And here you can see similar visualization on screen in any device, mobile phone, with different types of tools to be able to see measures. So you can see the trajectories of the knees. In this case, the left knee is going in too much with a line of best fit of 17 degrees, and put numbers on things instead of just describing things qualitatively. It's recorded at 30 frames per second, so it's not like a full-blown motion capture lab, but for slow movements, it's just fine. And then we've created an automated narrative tool, which allows our back end, which is a machine learning environment, to analyze the movements and create a narrative to describe what's happening, which will apply to the international classification of function somewhere down the trip. Nobody really likes to do the ICF. If any of you are dabbling with it yourselves, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The other thing that we can do is visualize the 2D app and the images from that. So we can look at a double leg squat on one of the movements here. I'm pretending to be an old man with arthritic knees here, as you can tell. And we can look at the trajectories of the movements, and we can measure the angles of the knees, but clearly I can't rotate the image and look at it in 3D. I can only look at it from frontal view. The clinician can interface with the person and create exercises, and the exercise plan is an exercise in video with very clear dosage, which is defined by the clinician. And the person can get this information on their phone. Then there's no confusion about what the physio said during their consultation. Gamification is quite important. Goal setting is quite important. So people can set goals, and there's the opportunity to ask questions inside the app and have a chat inside the app. It's a closed environment. And there's the opportunity to ask clinical surveys. So you might do something like an SF36 to find out general lifestyle, and you can map it, and they can see their results. You can see their results. They can share it with their family. They can share it with their doctor, and all the information's there, objective, clear as day, in order to be effective and fast decision support using motion capture that's affordable for everybody. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Glenn. I was just to say that we need to wrap up here. Thank you. Okay, so now I would like to welcome Jawad Sadeghi. He is a researcher and computer scientist involved in has been involved in 3 different technology startups, and he's a health tech. He's a health tech innovator from Iran, living in Canada. And he's the CEO and co-founder of the Animation Leader technology, and he will talk about Bodyometer. So welcome, Jawad.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Jawad?
Share my screen. Awesome. You see my screen as well?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sophia, for the introduction. It was great to hear from Glenn and how fascinated that we are working on the same problems. As was introduced, my name is Jawad. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bodyometer, and we provide computer vision solutions to automatically measure and track biomechanical data. I'm sure most of us at some point have either suffered from or heard about some of these musculoskeletal injuries or pain, and this issue is escalated right now because of the limitations that COVID has made into our lifestyle. I personally right now suffer from the knee arthritis, lower back disc pain, and I'm looking for ways to prevent them to become chronic. When we look at the economic burden of these musculoskeletal diseases, only in Canada and US, we are close to 100 billion annual expenses, and the various drivers of this are arthritis affecting 1 in 8 Canadians. Seniors fall is the leading cause of injury-related hospitalization, and the joint replacement is increasing 13% over the span of 5 years from 2007 to 2012. And the big this ties back to the fact that our population is aging, because the aging population are more exposed to this type of musculoskeletal injuries. Growth rate of the aging population is 3% per year. In 15 years from now, seniors will be doubled from 2011. And by 2051, we will have 1 out of 4 Canadians over 65. So this places extra demands for therapeutic prevention technologies, considering the majority of these seniors prefer to remain in their home. Patients' non-adherence also with the recommendation of the care providers is a well-known issue, and the problem is as large as 70%. So direct consequence of this issue is lack of stickiness with the plan of care that causes the patients to leave before their case is fully resolved. And in case of allied health, which is where our focus is right now, dropouts are around 30% during the care plan and more than 70% during the maintenance. So there are different social, psychological, or economical factors in this behavior. And bottom line is that patients don't see the value of continued treatment and just decide to discontinue that. So that's exactly where Bodyometer can help to provide the objective measures for increasing patients' adherence to their treatment plan, such that patients can make a clear decision and see the real value of continuing their treatment. Let's see how we do that. Our patient engagement platform starts with the clinics, where actually we have developed a desktop solution for allied health professional to quickly measure around 70 different 3D range of motion tests. We have 3D postural scans, and also we have some functional screening tests on the patients. And we have now ported this to the mobile devices to help practitioners measure their patient's posture right now by taking just a picture from the front, a picture from the side. And it's only on their mobile devices, iPhone or iPad, and they can produce accurate postural reports and progress charts. And now we have also seen the early signs of accuracy of our machine learning models for predicting the future stage of their care. Because of the pandemic, we also launched our Bodyometer Home app, which is right now available. Anyone can download. It's a free app, and you could start self-measuring and self-assessing your posture at home. And let's say at some point, if you become a patient and visit a clinic, you could connect the Bodyometer Home to the clinical app, and in that case, access also your clinical scans on top of the pain diaries and the notes that you provide on the home, which will be shared with the clinician. And it enables you to make an informed decision about your treatment. And the last piece of this patient engagement platform that we have launched is a web dashboard, enabling practitioners to track the patient engagement throughout the entire patient journey. And in this way, we are bridging the current gap between patient and practitioners in between treatment visits. And this platform also helps professionals to enhance the patient experience. They can maximize the retention of the patients, and also it brings more happy patients that could also drive more referrals to the clinics and increase the patient's compliance as well. So let's see how this works. I would like to give you a quick demo. So in our iPad app, if I can show you quickly. Awesome. Do you see my iPad screen right now? Perfect. So the Bodyometer the Bodyometer clinical scan that I am just taking on Fatma, my team member here. As you see in real time, it shows when Fatma is moving all of her joints. So there is a grid here on the top that you see. If I tilt, it will show me where is the exact angle. When it turns green, that's the right time that basically I can take a quick frontal scan. If you could turn to your left such that your right shoulder faces the camera, I can take a side scan. And then, thank you. I can then enter the pain level. Do you have a pain? 3, awesome. And the type of the pain. So as you see, in less than 30 seconds, I could generate a quick scan of the patient. And when I go to the patient's progress, that would be accessible. And I want to also show you how it would be accessible on the web dashboard. All of this data will communicate in real time with a secure HIPAA compliant dashboard that we have created. And as you see right now, do you see my web? Yeah. So this same scan that I quickly took now shows up here, frontal posture, side posture, and you could also create a report, download it. The I can now add clinical notes around that stabbing issue that, for example, was mentioned. Something like that. And this will be actually a report that could be emailed to the patient right away and post their kind of clinical assessment. And the good thing is that this data then will be correlated with the pain and the postural score or other factors over time. So the goal would be then dropping the pain and the global postural score that we calculated to as close as 0. And also the kind of statistic, the kind of progress over different body parts. Oh, doesn't show up. Oh, okay. So then I will quickly also switch to the home part by connecting to the Bodyometer Home app that we have developed for patients. In the Bodyometer Home, by default, it just shows the latest scan. I don't have any scan yet. But when I connect it to the clinic, as you see at this same time, the data is now accessible for me, and I can go back to different days and see also the notes of the clinician that I just provided and also the pain score that I had. So that's the one way that I can see the clinical scans and the notes. Also other ways that I can take a self-scan or the same scan that I just showed you. Could you just take another scan quickly? This is like a home scan. If you have someone to help you to take the scans at home, could you put it? It's that fast, but if you don't have, thank you. You also have the option of taking the kind of self-scan as well. And also have a log of your pain and the journal of the day for yourself. Today, my pain reduced, something like that. This will be actually shared with your care provider as part of the daily journal. And as I mentioned, you could also make it like, oops, sorry. There are tips on the app to how to do a self-scan. But let's go to finalize back to the dashboard to show you this on the home section. And as you see, maybe
Javad, I think we need to wrap up pretty soon. 1 more minute maybe, and then we have some time for questions.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the same idea that I was talking about actually is here, and for the home, you would be able to track the patient's data. And just to go back to my final slide, the ask here is basically we are looking right now for more clinical pilots, as well as the channel partners, professional associations dealing with MSDs, corporate health partners, or regulatory bodies in this space. We want to work with more researchers in our roots, and conducting more clinical trials on this home monitoring is what I'm really looking forward out of this symposium, to eventually create a new standard of care for market and improve life of millions of patients. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Javad, for that presentation as well. And now we have a couple of minutes for questions and reflections. And maybe some thoughts on how we can use this technologies, this inspiring presentation that we have heard of. So perfect, if you can come up, all of you up to the stage. Perfect. And we have one question. And that is, I'm curious about how you work with your partners. How do you recruit? How do you develop content with them? For example, sharing your experiences, helping them to build strong content, and so on. So who wants to start?
So I guess that one was directed towards me. Hopefully you guys can hear.
Yeah.
So with regards to Move Improve, as I'd mentioned, partnerships are a cornerstone of what we do. Although we are an engine and we are a highway for delivering that content and those outcomes in the learning and the teaching, the expert knowledge is required. How we are recruiting, if anything, in a very small network, we are still pre-launch. We have not launched our technology yet. It's by asking the question and identifying problems that individuals and organizations are having in getting those outcomes. When it comes to working with creating the content, a lot of it is consulting and understanding the problem. Again, we are just a delivery mechanism for information that's already being taught. There needs to be a better way to do it, a way that is really landing with the end user. So it's a lot of one-on-one discussions, coaching, consulting, and understanding the client and the partner that we're working with. And then in that case, then it's also testing. So many of our customers currently we're working with are in pilot projects, research projects, where we're testing the validation of this technology over and above status quo. So a lot of engagement, conversations, partnership, and collaboration is a big part of what we do at Move Improve.
Thank you, Andrea. Glenn, do you want to comment on that as well?
Sure. I mean, I'm a clinician and I'm a research geek, and I think it's important to get back to basics on the street and work out what do clinicians need, what do patients need, what are payers prepared to pay for, what are investors prepared to invest in. The whole ecosystem needs to be listened to before you start building technology products. And I think it's very easy to have a bunch of technology products on the shelf in some impressive laboratories, but not many of them see the light of day if they haven't started with service design, patient centricity, and look at business models that actually will pay the bills when you actually launch your product. And I think it's important to listen to all of those people before you start taking out the screwdriver and the keyboard and start building stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We have another question here. What difficulties are you having commercializing your program? Who wants to say something about that?
Oh, well, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
We need more sandboxes in clinics. I need my colleagues who are physiotherapists and orthopedics doctors and neurologists to be a bit more adventurous and be prepared to put things in front of patients, listen to patients, put things in front of colleagues, and I always say innovation needs wings. You can't be clipping it the whole time with medical device regulations. For example, I was just watching this presentation now about scoring posture, that there is no clinically validated way of scoring posture, but everybody wants a single number to describe everything inside of healthcare. And if you do put a score on, you suddenly go from a class 1 product to a class 2 A or B, depending on how dangerous it is for somebody to have a score. And that makes things quite difficult. And I think that's one of the main challenges. There's not really enough agile, iterative software development thinking, scrumming inside of healthcare. It's common in technology, but it's not common in healthcare. They expect you to build something, finish it, and then they'll buy it.
And Glenn, I would agree with you 1,000%. In this space, there needs to be more visionary early adoption, obviously with safety and practicality in place, but there also needs to be full involvement of those early adopters in the process, and clear communication in sharing feedback. Open feedback and 360 feedback will be key in how we as technology companies, because that's a part of what we do in technology, is we need to iterate and adapt based on the needs of our end users, whether the user is the practitioner in the clinic and we're assisting them in solving their problem, or the end user being the patient. But there needs to be open conversation. There needs to be visionary and innovative energy behind it, but the ability to adapt and iterate. And the other thing as well too, commercialization, you talked about this, Glenn, too, it's investment capital that allows for the cost that it takes to make those changes in a timely manner. And yeah, so I agree 100%, Glenn.
And if I want to add one more thing, I 100% agree with both of you. We need a streamlined procurement process. Exactly 3 years ago, I was presenting in the same kind of environment in Edmonton, which was about innovations in healthy aging as well. And WCB, some of these founders of the musculoskeletal kind of interventions were there, and I questioned them that your system has not been changed since 30 years ago. Fortunately, COVID had an impact on this workers' compensation. Right now, they are considering the tele assessment and return to work virtually, which is a good sign. But it took a pandemic to wake them up. And I think we need future thinking people in this, buyers and regulators as well, because the end goal, as Glenn mentioned, is that we are trying to generate the outcome measure, and they need to adopt that, and also that becomes like a standard of care.
Yes. Thank you so much. I think we need to wrap this up. We have one more question, but I think maybe we have time for that in later discussions. But thank you again to all the presenters. It was amazing to listen to you. And now I hand over to Andrea. No, sorry, Alana.